Hi everyone, how you going? I'm just going to show you an update of my progress of what I've been doing recently with my custom character controller and the third person camera with object avoidance that I've been making with that. It's a work in progress still. The controller is almost finished, is about one major bug away from being perfect. Um, not perfect, but publishable, I reckon, um, in my mind. And the object avoidance for the camera needs a bit of work. So let's just hop in right away and have a look, see how it's going. Um, just for those who have never seen this before, I'm gonna explain this. So this is a custom character controller that I made. It's not the Leadwerks controller. It's my own implementation. You'll notice that there's no bodies in the scene whatsoever. Um, it's just a mesh. The body for the character controller is actually not reacting with anything. As you can see, it's red. All the collisions, like you see this, is all ray tests. And yeah, as you can see, it's pretty smooth. It's not very jittery. You might have noticed that when it was falling out of the sky at the beginning, it was a bit jittery. That's not because of the FPS is low, which it's not. It's at 45. It's because this screen recorder stuffs everything up. I don't know why, but it does. It just makes your whole screen go jittery, even if it's not lagging. Anyway, so you can see that's pretty smooth. Also, it can step up onto objects. You can see it steps up onto this little step pretty easily. And it traverses slopes really smoothly, um, which was probably the hardest thing to do in the character control. That was really tough because usually what you start out with is, oh, you move forward and then it goes, oh, the ground moved up, so I've got to move up, and then it would keep doing that. So it'd go, oh, ground's moved up, move up, and it'd be jittery as you go up. So to make it smooth, it it shoots a ray down in the position that it thinks it's going to be in the next frame based on what you're pressing. So yeah, and it calculates where it should move to instead of adjusting all the time. And as you can see there, I did a jump, and the jump has what is it? My own implementation of momentum as well, um, which could use a bit of tweaking, but you'll notice I'm trying to turn, but I can't turn or change direction while I'm in the air. It doesn't work. That's as intended. Alright, so I've added this little mesh in here, and I've set the mesh types to be different for the scene and the player. So this is just a pseudo player, like a placeholder, and that's because I don't want the rays for the collision and the camera to be affected by the player, and therefore I've made it green just so that I can do this while I'm doing all this technical stuff rather than the actual game itself. Anyway, I'll go on to the camera. So here's the camera. The first thing you'll notice with the mouse button, you can zoom in and out to a maximum and minimum distance. Um, that surprisingly took a while to get perfect because it would zoom in and it would, just a number of problems, but it's smooth now. If you hold down the middle mouse button, you can look around. One thing that you'll notice if you ever do your own third-person camera is that when you first do this, the camera wants to go over the above and go upside down. You have to stop it from doing that. As you can see, it won't go any higher than that, and it won't go any lower than that, because cameras upside down look bad, trust me. So yeah, there's that. If you hold down, if you change the orientation, so right now the player is facing this way, and I press forward, it'll snap back behind the player. That's just my personal preference. I don't want to, but if I'm holding the mouse button and I start running, it won't snap back. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay. So there's a few other features. If I hold down the right mouse button, um, the camera and the player will turn, and if I hold down the right and left mouse button, it'll run, and I can pretty much control the whole controller with my mouse only. So I'm holding down left hand mouse button and I'm moving around here. And of course, works everywhere, up and down slopes, yada yada. Okay, so the final part, and probably the most difficult part of the camera, and keep in mind this is still a work in progress, I haven't finished this feature yet. It's the object avoidance. So I'm just going to show you straight up. You'll see this little body here. This is the camera's focus, this little tiny body, and it's just a helper that I'm using to debug everything. Same with all these bodies, they're just debug helpers for the meantime, they're not going to be in the game. So if anything gets between the camera and that point, the camera will snap forward instantly so that it can see the point. The idea is to always keep the point in focus. So no matter what, if it collides with the ground, it'll try and see it. If it collides with... If I try and zoom back into the wall, it's not going to let me. See, if I'm walking back, it's going to keep pushing the camera forward. So I'm zooming back. You'll see it's a bit jittery now that I'm trying to zoom back. This is because I haven't fully... I've only done one ray test for this camera collision. That's a ray test from this point towards the camera. And if it hits something, then it moves the camera forward based on a distance that I calculate. But that doesn't, that means that now that I'm zooming back, it's going back and forward. So I'll shoot another ray out the back of the camera, a really short one, about the distance of one click of the mouse zoom, and that'll basically disable zooming out. You can see if I move back and the camera's against the wall, it's pretty smooth. So yeah, that works pretty much any way you put it. But of course there's tweaks, as I said, it's a work in progress. You see the ground, it goes just below the ground and the ground disappears. So that'll be another ray test, or I could shoot the ray test further, past the camera a little bit. Though I'd probably rather not do that. I'd rather shoot a ray test down below the camera, and just stop it from going any further down, so it stays about there, so you can still, oh no, a bit higher, about there, so you can still see the ground. And same with the walls, we'll go against the wall. So the wall, yeah, see, same thing. But yeah, otherwise that feature of the object avoidance is working perfectly. Just needs a few more ray tests to make it smoother and not clip some walls slightly. But yeah, as you can see, it's making progress. I'm pretty happy with it. One thing I found out that everyone might find useful, if you didn't already know, if you parent something to an object, say I parent the camera to this pivot here, and then I call entity position of the camera, I won't get the actual entity position of the camera, I'll get the position of the camera before it was parented. This took that gave me a lot of headaches, to be honest, because I had originally parented the camera to the pivot, and I could not. No, to send a raycast, you need I needed the position of the pivot, which is fine, and the position of the camera, but I couldn't get the position of the camera because it would always be in one place, the place that it was before it was parented. So I figured another way of doing this orbital movement without a really easy, like non-processor heavy way to do the orbital movement without parenting the entity, and that's worked nicely now. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you like it. The next thing I'm going to start working on is actually targeting. I have these networked, though of course as I add things to one I keep having to update the network and it keeps getting crashes, so I'm not going to show you that now because it'll probably crash. I haven't updated it for a little while, the networking side of things, so I'm gonna get to the next thing to do is targeting. So like I'll be doing camera picks with the mouse and clicking on targets, other players, or pressing tab and cycling through other players to do targeting, because this is gonna have targeting. Anyway, I hope you enjoy, and I'll hope to show you some more stuff soon. Adios.